everybody. Welcome to the Twiniversity podcast. I'm Natalie Diaz. And I'm here with Lauren Oak.
Hi.
That was my morning radio introduction. Like, here's the weather chopper. How do we like that? If we started that intro, why not? We could change it up every once in a while.
Sure.
That's it. Listen, we have a good guest today, right? So we're talking to Michele, who was born on our coast of the East and now lives on the other coast. So they seem to like to call it the best coast. We think not. Anybody on the East Coast. So Michele is a type of mom who is trying to balance it all and is very quickly discovering that that's not a thing.
Yeah, no, it's not that easy. It's really good to have high hopes, but in reality,
no,
it's very difficult.
I feel like you balance more than most, though.
I have a lot on my plate, so.
And at what point do you want to start simplifying things?
Soon. Now that the kids are going off to college, I can see in my future things getting a little simpler. Maybe in the next year or so. I'll have less people literally in front of me 24/7, less things like people's schedules to follow up with, so it'll be more just like, it'll just be less. I'm hoping.
What do you think has been the key to you not having a nervous breakdown yet in your life?
Oh my God. My husband, he has his flaws, but when he knows I'm at my wit's end, starts picking up all the slack, and like without me even having to say anything, all of a sudden I'll let me sleep. He'll let me sleep, and I'll wake up and like all the laundry's folded, or he'll go shopping for me. He'll be like, "No, you stay home. I'll go food shopping." He gets nothing that I want, but he gets food. There's food there, so yeah. I mean, he definitely helps. I like to have some sleep. I like a good nap, so I need it. So making sure that I can nap when I can nap is important.
So what are the things that you're doing? Like give me all of the jobs that you currently have.
I have a lot of jobs. Okay. So I work for Twiniversity. I do a monthly meetup.
Hold on. Wait, give me your jobs and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 stress.
Oh, stress. Okay. 10 being the worst stress.
10 being the worst. Okay. So Twiniversity,
that's like a 0. There's no stress with that.
Aww.
It's like, oh, is anyone going to show up? And what are we going to talk about this month?
But you also have the pre-consults with parents.
Yes, I love those. Okay, so I also do the twin strategy sessions, which I love. That's 0 stress. I can do that on the fly. If I could do that every day, like 5 of them a day, I would do it. So people, if you're expecting twins, I love doing it. I love reaching out to all these new families. It's great. Helping them get through their first weeks. I am a postpartum doula.
What's that? Rate that.
That stress, that's not very stressful. I love it. It's like maybe a 2. The only stressful part of it is that I work overnight. Yes. Sometimes I'm tired for that. So that's not really stressful. I love it.
Do you get to nap at all while the baby is napping overnight?
Usually the second half of the night, as long as like I do the dishes, I do the laundry, I get mom's pump parts done. The mom I'm working with now gets up to pump. So I sit with her while she pumps. The second everything's done, I take it, I send her to bed, I wash everything up, I put the bottles together, and then like I'll nap in between before the baby gets up again.
Okay.
But it's like 20 minutes here, 40 minutes there, maybe. It's not like I'm really sleeping.
So you're still giving that a 2?
I'm still, that's only like a 2. I love it. I'm a lactation counselor. I love that. That's also like a 2. The only thing I don't like is when I can't figure out what's going on. Like I'm trying to figure out like, why isn't this baby latching? What is going on? What about mom's milk? What's going on? When there's a problem, that's when I get a little stressed out about that.
And then you do the accounting for the place at the corner.
For my father-in-law's best friend's small business, literally down the block from my house. I could walk to it. I've been working there on and off since 2011. I was their office manager. I've been their like personal assistant. Now I pay all the bills and do the payroll. That job is a 15 out of stress because they're very dysfunctional. They're wacky people.
God bless them.
And I try to get in and out of there as soon as possible. Like if I have to go in, I'm like, I'm only here for an hour. Let me pay the bills. Let me get out of here. So that job, I would not, they couldn't pay me $1 million an hour to work there full time. No. I'd be in a loony bin.
Okay. And then you're a grandma.
Then I'm a grandma. So I watch the grandkids this whole month of February. I'm watching the kids 5 days a week on top of all of the other jobs.
And what's that? Give me that, a stress level.
It depends. My younger grandson doesn't like to nap. He is napping right now, but when he doesn't nap, the stress is like a 9 because
that's
like,
another one.
Like I have to work tonight and sometimes I have to watch him before I have to work. And I'm like, dude, you need to nap. I'm going to go later and nap, but yeah. But, and then my other grandson, Ben, he's a sweetheart. He's easy. He's super easy. He's like a 1, you know.
Aw.
Then I juggle all the teenagers in my house.
Yes. Then you have all the girls and volleyball and running and
track and doctor's appointments and just chaos. Yeah.
What's the number there?
It depends. Like going to the games, I like watching the kids play basketball. The track meets are fun. It's a little stressful when I see Abigail running and I'm like, is she going to come in first? Is she going to cry? What's going to happen? That's fun. That's not stressful. That's fun. I get to see other moms. I talk to the other parents. We're rooting everybody on. It's exciting. Yeah.
Oh, so give me a number for that.
Oh, that's like I would say that's a 2 because if they're not doing well, they're not playing well.
Okay.
Stressed out, but it's fun. I enjoy it.
And then what about household manager?
That's stressful because I feel like I clean and things get messed up. I tell people to clean up. They clean up, but they don't clean up enough. Yeah. Leave their crap everywhere. There's laundry, there's shoes, there's books, there's crap everywhere all the time. Food.
My God. I don't know how you do it. Like sometimes when I'm tired, I literally say, thank God I'm not you.
Well, all I do is run around, like literally run.
You do, but at least you could drive everywhere. Like that's the perk of where you are.
Yeah, I don't have to get on public transportation or get an Uber. I just jump in my car and go.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah.
So yes, I could do some stuff by car, but other times I can't necessarily. But like I think about how living in the city, while convenient, because I do have 700 forms of transportation here, it's almost like too much.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, okay, if I want to go here, if I want to go a mile, sometimes I know it could take me 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And so then you're like, okay, well, do I take the train? And if I take the train, it's just so interesting. But like that's one thing that I sometimes think that people think in the city, like, oh, everything's so convenient. I can walk to get milk. Like I can. But then if I need to do something that's not getting milk, it's a lot more stupidly complicated and unnecessary.
In a car and be somewhere in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I love that. That's why I love coming out by you. I'm like, oh my God, this is how people live. This is great. Just like even going to Party City by you. Like guys, this weekend I went to by Lauren's house and I'm like, this is so great. Like I didn't have to be like, let me call Instacart and find this.
You went to like the busiest area at like rush hour too. You probably were.
That was ridiculous. Lauren, there was traffic, but seriously, it was just that you saw other cars paused.
Yeah. Yeah.
That wasn't traffic to me. But I could see how you could see that as being traffic.
Like, oh, I don't want to drive on Deer Park Avenue on 230.
It was nothing, Lauren. I was like, I'll go get gas. That's it. So I waited. I was like, there's a few people waiting at this light. I was like, I'll scoop around. I'll figure it out. But today we're going to talk to Michele. And so she is somebody that is trying to balance it all. And she works in the hospitality industry. And you would think that they would be somewhat hospitable, especially since she had twinnies. And it's kind of the opposite. And on the day that we taped the podcast, it was her birthday. And I believe she also lost her job that day.
Oh my God.
There's a lot going on. Wow. So it's just like a little behind the scenes look. And during the episode, it's funny because like she's talking things out, and like technically we have a theme to each podcast that we do, but then sometimes it just turns into like a weird therapy gab sesh. And that's what this is.
I like that.
She could hang with us. Like
All
for
right.
the record, like Michele definitely, if she ever came back this way, I think she was from Philly is where she was from, but she could definitely roll with us. All right. Are you ready to meet Michele? All right, girl, here she is. Oh, Michele, you're my breath of fresh air on whatever day of the week it is. I have no idea, nor do I even care anymore. Tuesday. That sounds good. Thank you so much for playing with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's been amazing so far.
So far, so good. Really, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm not the worst. And at least you're not
No.
nervous. Sometimes people are like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. And we've already kind of figured it out. So guys, Michele has like a laundry list of things that we could talk about. Like seriously, she is a well-vetted twin mom. She is a proud card carrying, been through some crap mom. And so I was trying to like focus on like what we want to talk about, but in all sincerity, I think we should just talk about the psychoticness of being a twin parent and trying to balance the stupidity of attempting to be a parent and work. And, you know, I've been very, very fortunate to do quite a bit of speaking throughout the country. And one of the things that people always are like, could you speak about is like a work-life balance? And so I'm like, sure. But the moral of the story is that's not a real thing.
Mm-mm.
There is no such thing. So Michele, give us why you received the ticket to the struggle bus and how your adventure is going.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I guess I'll start from the beginning on us conceiving and finding out we're having twins, and then kind of roll into the
Love it. Love
the struggle
this.
bus city. So my husband and I, we've been together since I was 19. We met in a restaurant. We were on and off, but ended up getting engaged on my birthday 5 years ago today, which is kind of awesome. I just realized that. And the pandemic hit. We had our wedding booked, planned, invitation sent, ready to go. Pandemic hit, postponed the wedding, ended up getting married in July of 2020. Yeah. We started to try to have a kid instantly right after that, because, you know, I was 35, he was in his 40s. We were both desperate to have kids. I think we tried for 2 cycles, and this, you know, bitchy overachiever gets pregnant with 2 babies. The worst part about that was that I learned they were 2 babies by myself in an ultrasound room because he wasn't allowed there because of the pandemic. So that shock hitting and having to translate that over the phone to my husband was intense. From there, we were actually told, because it was only 8 weeks, we were actually told from there, don't tell anyone you're having twins. It's too early and you might lose one. That was actually told to me to my face. So from there, we went through our pregnancy, monodi twins. So I was highly monitored. I think I had 35 doctor's appointments in 35 weeks. It was out of control. We were at risk for preeclampsia, things like that. And twin-to-twin syndrome, of course, because they were identical.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, we dodged all those bullets. We ended up having a cesarean scheduled for 35 weeks on the dot. We delivered at Cedars, who has a clause where if you're born at 35 weeks or less, you automatically get NICU time.
Okay.
So we went to the NICU, both twins. Luckily, it would have been horrible if it was one and the other. They went to the NICU. They were in the NICU for 18 and 36 days. We ended up taking Lincoln home first on Mother's Day, and leaving Luca behind, which if you're a twin mom and you've been through this, that's probably one of the worst things that you've ever felt in your life. And then, I was working for a restaurant that was super supportive, and they allowed me to take a ton of time off for maternity. So that was great. And now we're just kind of surviving.
Yeah.
We both work in the restaurant industry. Obviously, that's how we met. But, you know, I've struggled with balance, I actually left a company, an incredible company that I was with for 10 years, to pursue a different challenge. That fell through. And I'm learning now as, you know, a mother of twins after probably, you know, 20 years plus in this industry that I've dedicated every ounce of my being to, every night, weekend, holiday, special occasion, bat mitzvah, wedding, funeral, everything. You know, I put all this heart and soul into this industry thinking it was going to, you know, be what was going to support my family. And now being a twin mom and experiencing such a different path than what I had planned for, and just being in a state of complete chaos and overwhelming, you know, every second of every day that I'm home, I'm realizing that I can't do what I used to do. Where, you know, I'm taking every call that comes in on my time off, and I'm staying late in the restaurant, and I'm coming in early, and I'm working 6 days, and I'm, you know, pretty much ignoring my family, which is what I did my whole life. You know, now I'm at a different space where I'm not willing to do that anymore. And I'm realizing that they don't give a fuck. So they don't care that I come home and, you know, the walls are covered in shit because they've peeled off their diapers, onesies, and straight jackets 14 times in a row, and then smeared their shit all over the walls.
I
and
love that.
pissed on the floor, and then they're slip and sliding on the floor.
On the tile. That's the best.
Yeah, and then they're like, why did I fall? Yeah. It's they don't care that you know, they beat each other's ass all day, every day, and it's a constant struggle to find a second of silence. And I call it Navy SEAL training. I'm telling you, like, this is torture. There's a baby crying at every moment of every day, and you doubt yourself every second of every one of those moments, because you're thinking, why are my babies so bad? Why are they always crying? What is wrong with me? Am I doing enough? But really, I don't know anyone that could do enough, because you're only one parent and there's two babies. And I'm lucky enough to have a spouse that is very actively engaged in the, you know, the life that we have. Can't imagine the moms that are doing it single. Y'all are superheroes. Y'all are something else. But yeah, it's been a journey, and I think it's opened up, you know, I think I mentioned before when we spoke, it's opened up some wounds for myself too.
Yeah.
About like, shit, where am I going now? Like, what's my purpose? My purpose was always, I'm in the restaurant industry. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to be a CEO. I'm going to be a president. I'm going to be a partner. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be an owner. And now it's like, well, damn, this is the first 2.5 years of their lives. And I have felt no support from my industry. In fact, I felt the opposite. I felt the fuck off. This is your choice. And you made this bed, now lie in it. So now I'm at an impasse, and, you know, I feel like it could be a midlife crisis. You know, I'm I'm about to turn 40, but, I'm at an impasse on what to do, and what's important to me. It's all shifted. It's all been turned upside down. What was important to me before was a title, a salary, success, travel. And now what's important is having the energy on my days off to keep up with 2 kids, you know, after working a 50-hour week, and you're walking 30,000 steps a day, and you're involved in every conversation from personalities from all walks of life. And then, you know, it's been hard. I think all of us can relate. We all have something, especially when you're blessed with twins, that just shakes you. And I think right now it's like, what's next?
Yeah. Well, it's really easy. Like, if you have one baby, you have one partner that could, you know, one person could kind of focus on that one kid, and then each of the adults in the house could kind of focus a little bit on themselves or try to prioritize a little bit better. But when it's the 2 against 1, it really does. It opens up a lot of crap. So so now you're sitting here and just talking about the whole freaking restaurant industry. You know, it's so fascinating because there are as somebody who was literally raised in the restaurant industry, I think my earliest memories were standing behind a bar and taking the bottom half of the straw paper off so that it was only the top piece, or filling up the salt and pepper and then sneezing all over ourselves. And yeah, I don't know about the sanitary conditions, but yes, there's many restaurants ago. But I always grew up in that industry and I saw what a challenge it was. And I now understand why my mother, out of her 4 siblings, she was the only one to have kids. Everybody else was in the industry and it was always the restaurant first. And that was the way it is. And for many years, they worked for other people until they saved enough money and then started working for themselves. But that is your life. It's not a career. It is what you breathe. It is what you do. It's your identity.
Yeah.
And so then having kids and saying, okay, well, what is my identity? Am I a wife? Am I a mom? Am I a restaurateur? What exactly am I? There's no such thing as, yes, we could balance. And honestly, I think anybody who says it's bullshit.
Totally.
It's totally freaking impossible to be the best at one thing.
Sure, 100%. And when you feel like one avenue, isn't this right? Like when you feel like one avenue is thriving, you're like, damn, my marriage is ending. Yep. Or like, wow, my kids are really thriving. They're hitting their milestones. They're doing great, but I can't answer that work call. Or wow, work's really going great, but I miss my kids and I say goodbye in the morning and I'm crying. I think, I worked for a corporate steakhouse for 10 years and they really did just preach balance and preach family. And a lot of my leaders had children and were married and had successful relationships. And I think that, says a lot about a company and the people that I want to work for. But at the end of the day, the industry as a whole isn't like that. And you really have to fight and work hard to find that space. And, when you have it, you shouldn't let it go, I guess is a lesson that I've learned.
It could also evolve though, honestly. Like even if it's one way, one day, you get one new person that comes in with some brand new shiny ideas and it's all gone.
Totally.
The whole corporate culture is done.
Totally. You're so right. And I've seen that happen so many times.
Yeah. So you can't look back and you can't say, oh, woulda, coulda, shoulda, I should have stayed there. That doesn't mean that was going to stay consistent through the entire time that you're raising your kids. So anything, when you don't own your own business, anything could be taken away from you at any day. And truthfully, even when you do own your own,
even when you do, exactly.
And you're responsible for your team and their salaries and the insurance and the taxes. Like seriously, and it's so stupid, but I'm going to tell you guys what's horrible to say. Like, I did not want any of that. Like when I started Twiniversity, I was like, we're going to change the world. We're going to educate them and we're going to inspire people.
Yeah.
Sit here and be like, oh my God, insurance is due. Oh my God, we got to do 1099.
Yes.
I am so bad at that. And whenever I meet people that are like, oh, I want to start my own business, the first thing that I always say is, yes, absolutely, strongly consider it, but realize that it's only 25% of what you thought you were going to be doing.
Yeah.
And then the other 75% is trying to figure out what everybody else is doing, because at some point you have to hire people and then you have to manage those people. And then that's out of your control and that's scary alone. So it's anytime you think that things are settled, they're not. They're never really. So consistency is never the strong thing in any mom's life. But now you're going into this next, quickly the rug was pulled out again from underneath you. And now you get to sit here and you get to kind of prioritize. And it's your birthday, which come on, how fantastic is that?
I know.
New year, new me. Hashtag new year, new you. Right? And you're like, shut up. I like the old me. It was fine.
The old me 2.5 years ago. No, I'm just kidding.
But like, let's have a discussion about this now. Let's have an intervention, shall we?
Yeah, love it.
So
love it.
Here you are. You're sitting here. It's the day of your birth. And you are ready for a change, whether you liked it or not. It's forced. It's forced upon you. And you have these 2 little beans that are slipping in their own pee-pee. When you think about your life in general, right? And so just close your eyes, bear with me. Like for real, let's do this as a family. Okay. What's your happy place?
yeah, my happy place is with my family.
So it's not in a corporation where you're going to have a good filet mignon steak that you're going to eat off somebody else's dish when they said it was too undercooked.
No, believe it or not, it is not.
So now, knowing that this is kind of maybe where you could start exploring and kind of getting rid of like old Michele per se, and you're going into this next generation of new Michele, and it's so exciting and yes, a little scary, but what are the hopes that your kids, what are the things that you want your kids to say about you when they tell their high school teacher what you're like?
I want them to tell their teachers that they're eager to spend time with me. I want them to tell their teachers that despite how I was raised, I did the best that I could for them. And I was able to support my family on my own with the help of my husband. I always wanted to be a working mom. I think you're right. I think this whole, restaurant industry that's what got me here. But it's not going to be what gets me there. And I think exploring the things that I am passionate about are important and detrimental to the happiness of my kids. And I think a lot of what I want is more time with them, and I don't want to leave before they get up and come home when they're in bed. I don't think that they deserve that. And it's not the mom that I want to be. It's not the mom that I pictured being, I want to have dinner on the table by my hands, at least 3 to 4 nights a week. I too went to culinary school. I love to cook. It's my love language. Food is my love language. There's a sixth one. And, I want a healthy marriage and I want time to invest in that, because isn't that always what ends up being last? It's like my career is how I support my family, and my kids come first. And then my spouse is just like this dangly little, like, help me, I need love too, and vice versa. And, working 50 hours a week and until 3:00 in the morning is not the recipe to get there.
It's not, but it's when that's all you've known, it's really, really hard to make.
It's so scary too.
Yeah.
So scary too. It's like, you almost feel like, don't you kind of feel like in this, like we were the rejects, we were like, and we celebrate that. It's not something that we associate a negative connotation to. It's just that like, there's a special kind of human it takes to run a business like that and interact with that many personalities. And people are 90% of what we would do, And it takes a special person. It takes a person with really thick skin. And then you go out into the world and it's almost like you're looked at like rejects at times, So it is scary. It's scary. You don't want to lose confidence and you want to be successful because you want to support your kids, but you're also like, well, damn, here I am. I'm 40 and I'm swapping careers. Like,
yeah, but it's such a good opportunity to kind of reassess what is important to you. And when I don't know how old I was. I want to say maybe I was like 19 or 20. I worked at a hotel in Midtown Manhattan, and it was weird though. I got to say the truth. Like to learn about people, it was great because you had where it was located. It was kind of like a little bit off the beaten path in Murray Hill for any of my Manhattan people out there. So it was close to a hospital. So you had some people that were coming the night before for surgery. And then it was fairly close to the tunnel. So we had politicians that were going to go into the outer boroughs. And then we also had like sports teams stay there because it was far enough away from Madison Square Garden that they could feel like they were away, but then close enough because it was literally across town. Like you could just walk to, like if you walked across town, you'd hit Madison Square Garden. So you didn't have to worry about traffic. So working there and having this very unusual group of people that were your guests And I loved it because I really do love my city. And I would say like part of my identity would be a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And when
I
people
love that.
like, how do you identify? Right. Or what are your pronouns? I say New Yorker. That's that's really
And
what
that's the pride of the East Coast. Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
It's it's weird because it's
no,
like,
I know we're psychotic.
It's very bizarre. But when I worked there was this one woman and her name was Arlene. And I was talking about her the other day, and God only knows where she is in the world right now. But she had such a profound impact over one statement that she said to me. And she worked the graveyard shift.
Oh,
so she was an auditor. And so she would come in every night at midnight. And because I was the low man on the totem pole, I would, of course, work till midnight, right? Because that was the crappiest shifts. So that's where I was. So I said to her, I was like, Arlene, you have like 4 kids. Like, what are you doing? Like, isn't this difficult? And she said, you know what? Yeah, it's difficult. But she's like, when I'm lying on my deathbed, I'm never going to say, oh, I wish I would have worked more.
Totally true.
And that was such like a big moment for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, look at what she's saying. And I need to listen to her. I really had a lot of respect for her. But like, she chose to work the graveyard shift, which is crappy. You're all by yourself. It's a little bit dangerous. God only knows who's coming into the hotel in the middle of the night in New York City. Like I think there was like a bellman that was on staff with her, but that still has stayed with me to this day. And I remember right before I started Twiniversity, I had to figure out like what I really wanted to do next. And it was a very big deal because my husband was like, okay, listen, we could afford for you to stay home. We'll make cutbacks in what we have to do. But if this is what you want your priority to be, but I really love working.
Yeah,
and
me too.
This is like, I can't not work. That's not
me neither.
That's not a thing for me. Like my
Not
husband, if you told him like you won $1 million, you get to stay home. My husband would be like, yes, I'm going to relax. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm starting a charity.
I'd be like on Etsy. I'd be,
yes. I have to.
I'm the same way.
I'm not saying that being a mom isn't enough for me.
Enough.
But it's really not. I got to be honest. And I know it's crappy, but I needed more.
I feel the same way. I feel the same exact way. And I always tell people the same, like alternatively with what you said is so profound because I say it all the time. The people that you're working with, they're not going to be at your deathbed. You're like, oh, let me be there for you. Let me work 12, 14-hour days. Let me open and close and miss everything that matters to the family that's going to be there for me when I am in diapers. You know what I'm saying? So and this industry, it has not shown up for many people.
Nor will they.
And they won't. So, you know, I mean, I had a conversation at a restaurant that I ran where the general manager died unexpectedly. And, you know, leadership was, hey, should we open? And I said to myself, well, damn, if I die, y'all better not freaking open. I want at least a day where my team can be like, well, damn, she was a great boss.
Yes.
Like, can we
not happening, probably. Sorry.
They actually did close. They did
good.
Close.
That's good. All right. We'll give them that.
We'll give them that. Yeah.
It's a very challenging industry. The hospitality industry as a whole is because people depend on it. And so while the restaurant, yes, of course, needs to make money, there are people like you were saying that are coming in for a funeral today or a rehearsal dinner, and they're going to get mad. And so when you decide to work in an industry that is dedicated to the service of others, you're at the mercy of that.
Totally. And you're last, always.
100%.
Leaders eat last. Leaders eat last. You're always last. When are we going to start putting ourselves first?
We're not. And even you're not going to do it with your kids either. And you're not going to do it with your husband either. It's just not going to happen. But weirdly, I will tell you, is one of the benefits that I have of also being a little in my twilight years. My kids are big now, right? So my kids are 19 years old. And they started college, and they know I've always been very vocal about everything I've wanted to do in my life. I shouldn't say I have 7 million hobbies. It depends on my mood, right? Maybe today I'm building miniatures. Maybe tomorrow I'm crocheting. Maybe the next day I'm looking into how to make stained glass. Maybe I'm going to learn how to in steel make a knife. You never know with me.
I admire that so much. And you have the time and the space freaking do it.
I don't have
That's
the time and space to do
dream.
anything. I make
But
all
you're
this
doing it.
investment into
You're doing
freaking
it.
yarn that's overwhelming my house. And then I make one hat and I'm like, I'm good.
You're like, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
That's
Oh
that.
man.
But
I go into like smoothie phases where my husband will crack up. I'll be like, I'm going to make a smoothie every day and I buy everything for it. And that fruit will sit in the freezer for a decade.
it's fine. It's fine. It's in the freezer. It's fine.
I'm going to get to it.
Yes, you're going to get to it. But the interesting thing of me like doing these stupid things my kids' whole life is that they are not afraid to try new things.
Amazing.
And I think about my friends that have the mom has the same job, the dad has the same job. It's very, monotonous. This is their routine, and that's not bad because that works for them.
And routine is sometimes good.
It definitely is great. But for us, we thrive a little bit on the chaos.
Yeah, totally. I'm a Capricorn.
And yeah, we need that. We need the slipping in the pee. It's a part of the story. We need a story to tell. And if you think that, oh my God, I can't change things because if I change things, how is this going to affect something? You have to realize that if you don't change things, you let your kids watch you not change things and live the life that you want. And you have to lead by example. And so if you want to talk about, leaders eat last, I'm not saying that we don't, like, that's what's just going to happen. However, if we planned for that, it's not as bad. Right. So we're like, okay, like, yeah, we know we're going to eat last. So here's what we're going to do. But what I would say is that your kids, and you use the word already, you use the word investment, your kids are your most prized investment. There is no real estate. There is no stock market. Whatever you put into your kids, you will get out. Of course, that's something different for everybody, right? Because we have families that are like, I can only take off 2 weeks after delivery, and then I have to go right back to work. Because
my husband had to go back super quick.
Yeah. If you have to, what are you going to do?
You have to.
And we, in our Twiniversity classes, we get families that are like, I'm not going to take the moms are like, I'm not going to take the whole 3 months off that we're allowed. And then I think about, we've done podcasts with people from other countries that are like, oh no, we get, a minimum of a year off. And I think about like, okay, where's the problem, right? Is the problem our company that we're working for? Is our problem the state that we're in? Is the problem the country that we're living in, right? Because we don't get to do the things that a lot of people around the world would get to do because we're too busy living the American dream.
Yeah. And what is that dream?
I don't know.
Dreaming?
Figure out. Well, obviously,
I'm waiting for it.
I say I would not have been able to start a business from nothing if there was some countries that would never allow me to do this. Absolutely. So I think about that often, and I'm very proud of some aspects. But when it comes to motherhood and the decisions that we have to make, it's friggin' impossible. It's impossible.
100%. Yeah.
So now you're sitting there, now you got to decide. Yes.
Yeah.
Having to choose
between. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. I can't, and maybe it's on me too, right? Like maybe I should have set these boundaries a little bit sooner in my career instead of waiting until I'm a twin mom and using that as my, kind of scapegoat, if you will. It's like, maybe I did myself this injustice where it's like, I gave you everything. And now I'm unable to give you everything because I won't, because I have children now and a family and a house to run, right? We're running households as well. And then, now it's like, oh, but I need balance. It's like, well, you should have picked a different career. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm hearing, it's like, well, and it's almost like I'm in LA, so it's even harder to raise a family out here. I had to move to the Valley to feel a sense of community, I feel like, and not like an outcast. But, you're dealing with people that are here pursuing like so many different avenues of dreams. And like you said, the American dream and this big, like la la land, fantasy. And they look at people with kids like you have a handicap. It is so bizarre. And being from the East Coast as well, my husband and I are from Philadelphia. We moved here 7 years ago. It is a culture shock for me right now. Going into work every day and feeling like, wow, like I'm so proud of what I've built. Like, look at this family that I created. And like, I have a healthy marriage and, it's not easy. And we've been through hell together, literally hell, my husband and I. And you know, I feel proud of it. And you get looked at like you're disabled.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I think when I was interviewing for the job, my most current job, I can't tell you how many times I heard from people like, can you handle it? Like, can I handle it? Like, why? Because I have twins and I'm a woman and I want to work. What do you mean, can I handle it? You know what? Maybe not, but I'm going to freaking try.
Yeah. What am I going to do? Should I just say no?
Help me. Like,
should I just say no to this question right now?
Yeah. I'm like, wait, can I handle? I think. I mean, I carried 2 human lives inside of my body for 35 weeks. I think I'm pretty freaking strong, you know, but at this point you're questioning it. So I don't know. Should I question it too? Like, it's wild. So wild. Instead of, you know, thinking that it's like this amazing blessing, but to each their own.
It really, it's interesting whenever we're hiring for Twiniversity and somebody says, you know, hey, you know, I have kids, and I'm like, fantastic. What do you have, 12? I'll take it.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. Or if somebody on the team is pregnant, I'm like, wonderful. And they're like, well, you know, I'm afraid to say, and I'm like, what are you afraid of? That's an asset. Your pregnancy is an asset to us.
Oh, it's so bizarre. I just interviewed literally an hour ago, and I was hesitant to say that I had twins, and I was speaking to a woman, so I felt comfortable enough saying it. But I'll tell you what, if I was interviewing with a man, I would have not said I was having, I had twins.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. That is so awful. But here we are. We're the toughest.
Really, really feel that. And you know what's like in this industry, right? So now technically I'd be in like the baby industry, and childbirth and education and lactation, blah, blah, blah. It's weirdly still male dominated.
You don't say.
And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I love when, you know, we go to these baby shows all over the country, and then there's like a guy and he's like, oh, we just made a new stroller. You're going to love it. You have to come see it. And then I go and see it, and I'm like, I'm missing the greatness of this.
Yeah. Like,
and he's like, what? This is great for twins. And I'm like, buddy, how could this be great for twins? I can't see the second child. Like, if I'm pushing straight, like, how am I supposed to see that second kid? And like, we'll find things like that. He's like, well, that's not important. And I'd be like, you're right. That's not important.
It's not important. It's only important.
I appreciate your time. I'll steal a few bottles of water, a granola bar or two, and I'll get out of that booth as quick as possible. But it's fascinating to me that like people, and also like for Michelle, I don't want to be like, don't you know who I am? But I hate when people tell me what I'm going to love because of things. And I'm like, you are oblivious. You are just that oblivious, sir. You got nothing.
Like, it's like going into a store and they're like, can I help you? I'll let you know if you can help me, because I'm a strong woman and I'm going to tell you what I need as soon as I need it.
We have chips on our shoulders. I know. I think that's it. I think I just realized
don't ask me if I need help.
I feel the same way. It makes me, I hate asking for help. And like, God forbid, I have to go to the ER or something. I want to go by myself. My family is like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't want anybody near me.
I don't want you to know that I need help.
No.
I saw a post. I cracked up the other day. I saw a post that said, how embarrassing for us to go to work. It tells people we need money. I'm like, that's our personality. Like, I don't want you to think I need help. I talk to girlfriends all the time. Like, how embarrassing. We have to go to work. We need money. I talk to girlfriends all the time, and I'm like, I post what I want you to see, but I also post like what I want my kids to see later on in life. Right. Like, and it looks really great. And then I'm always reminding myself, like, post the bullshit.
Yeah.
Post the shit. Yes. There is nothing worse than watching a mom that you admire day in and day out with a clean freaking house and beautifully dressed kids with little fucking bows in their hair. Excuse me, but it is so maddening. It's like, where's the bullshit? You guys go to church? How? They don't scream? They're not humiliating you. I literally have a story right now on my Instagram of my child looking like he is being exorcised, like exorcism. Like backward bend, standing on his head, and this is real life. It's a shit show most of the time. Yes. I am wearing sweatpants. I haven't showered. My armpits are sweating right now, but my face looks good.
That's all that needs to be. I have
don't give a
pants
shit.
on that are, my mother says, why don't you have pants on? I have pink stretchies on because that's the only thing that's clean in my house right now. That's
Whatever.
a story for a different day. But my mom's like, you're not wearing pants today because my office is in my mom's apartment. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I have pants on. And she had to come and touch me. She had to come as if I'm like purpley. I'm like, Mom, I would have like a disease or something if that was the color of my skin.
I have gangrene. What is happening?
That's it. Today has just been one of those days, and it's going to be it. You're going to have so many of these, and I get so frustrated. I think one of the big parts of Twiniversity was like, could we just rip off the freaking Band-Aid and could we just say like what's really happening?
Yeah,
because I couldn't take it.
The time.
Michelle, I swear to you, I had pretty bad postpartum, and if I look back and say, but maybe there's something to us having that, let's discuss this. So if I look back on it, I could pinpoint the problem that I think I had. Not saying that if I didn't have this, it wouldn't have been, but when I was 14 weeks pregnant, I went to a Manhattan Twins Club meeting, and there was one woman that was like on like the dais, let's say, and she was telling us about her story and her breastfeeding journey. And she had, live in help, and she had this great apartment, and like everything was great. So I am like, I am not a normal New Yorker. So for those of you that listen to this and say, oh my gosh, she lives in New York, she's a Real Housewife. I am the furthest freaking thing from a Real Housewife that you could possibly get. My family got off a boat from Naples, and we've just been too lazy to leave. This is what's happened. This is where I am. So I live in 650 square feet with 4 people and a 100-pound dog, and we don't have a washer dryer, and I have to depend on the laundromat. Yes. We have to carry it. My husband was 56 pounds last week. That's how we get this. So when I digress. I know that people have like this conception of this perception of what New Yorkers are like, but I am so different. I had a moral to the story, and now, so that woman was like a Real Housewife.
Yeah.
So she had all these things.
Yes. It's unfair advantage, in my opinion.
So I'm like, oh my God, I should be like her. I should do things like her. And I 100%. Should be able to be as easy as this if I have so much help, and I'm so lucky. And I remember after the twins were born early and they were in the NICU, I remember sitting in the room and saying like, I can't do this.
They couldn't even latch. I couldn't do shit with breastfeeding.
I couldn't even see them.
Nobody talks about this. I couldn't touch them for 10 hours. So you get it. Oh my gosh. Awful.
I do. I totally.
10 hours before I could touch my children. And I gave birth through a plastic sheet.
Yeah. Which is
unbelievable. And then your body's supposed to be like, sping, let's produce milk. No.
Girl, awful. This is what literally I try to say and this is one of the reasons why I became a lactation person too, because I was under the impression, thanks to social media, that my babies were going to like shoot out of me, and then I was going to place them in my bosom, and it would just drink and everybody would be happy.
And then we'd sing Kumbaya, and there would be like essences in the air.
There'd be, and you're playing a little patchouli in the air. It was
100%. Like your husband's giving you a massage.
Right? We're delusional. And so when I had my kids, obviously it was literally nothing like that. Having preemies, it was also super weird. Like everything is crazy.
Oh,
and now,
so
sometimes when I get a new family that I work with here in New York, they're always like, I'm sorry. They tell me I'm sorry. Like, I wish I should know how to do this. And I'm like, how should you know how to do this? How should you know that? And I try to remind them that there has always been a me in every village. There has always been like, oh, she's really good at that. Like she's the baby one. Like Cole, you just had a baby, call Nat.
I've chilled.
Come over.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like I am for Twiniversity. And like I'm no longer a big sister. I think I'm an aunt now. I think I'm getting too old.
We're aunts. That's okay.
I'm okay. I'm okay to be an aunt.
Okay
at some point, I'll be a mom, a grandma, stepmom. I don't care.
Yeah.
But with age comes all that experience, and you realize like I was so stupid when I was younger, and why didn't I just ask for more help, or why did I think I could do something and then feel incapable because I couldn't, but nobody showed me. Like just like you're like born and you're just supposed to be pre-programmed with all these things that we're supposed to know. That's not real. That's not real. And it leads to that whole struggle bus thing, because then we have the, you know, the ideas that, oh, it's going to be this way. And then when
have
reality
to do it this way. Yeah.
You know, and look, I feel so bad for you that now you have to figure out what you're going to do next, but I'm weirdly excited for you, because now maybe you're going to get to do what you want to do, not what you just have always done.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also, you know, you fear too, like, of letting down your partner, you know, like I don't want to let down my partner. Like, he married me knowing like I was a badass, like I was going to get it. I was a leader in my industry. I was respected. And now I've literally been reduced to jello in 3 years. I mean, I had a tough pregnancy, very sick, throwing up blood on, I think, cancer medication at one point to stop the nausea. It was brutal. And I remember laughing, saying like, there's no such thing as morning sickness. This is just around the clock. I mean, and I'm working during a pandemic, opening a restaurant, puking in front of people, having to tell people from the gate, I'm pregnant, I don't have COVID. Like, it was just, and the lactation alone, I mean, pumping, moms out there, pumping was the worst thing I've ever done to my body. Ever. The worst, most painful, most excruciating, most debilitating mentally thing that I've ever done, because you're tricking your body into thinking that you gave birth by using a machine it was painful. I had blood blisters. I couldn't understand why I couldn't do it. I remember sitting next to a woman in the NICU. She's still one of my dearest friends to this day. And I remember her plopping her machine on for seconds and filling her cups, and me every 3 hours, like clockwork, for, you know, pumping to get a milliliter, to get 1 milliliter. And I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, it took me 6 weeks to finally say, what am I doing? And why am I putting myself through this to give one baby 1 milliliter of breast milk a day? Like, that was what set me into postpartum. That is what it is. Just like you said. Yeah. It was horrible.
But see, like, truthfully,
and no one talks about it.
Add somebody to say, let's look at your flange size. Let's look how you're pumping. Let's look at the schedule. Let's look at and it just didn't happen.
It never happened for me.
I just want the moral support. And then I want somebody to say, come on, let's give it, like, let's call it a day.
Yes. And that, I'll never forget my lactation specialist name. Her name was Barbara. She was incredible. And I remember walking into that NICU one day in tears. And I was like, why does no one talk about this? And I'll never forget it. She set her hand on my shoulder and she said, stop. Yeah. And I needed her to tell me, because my husband couldn't tell me. Forget it. The second he tried to even touch on the subject, I was like, it was like seeing the devil himself just rise above me. It couldn't come from him. It had to come from a woman. Had to. Yep. And it
had to come from a woman who has eyes that have seen so many things to know that you've basically met your limitation and you're there.
And I'm at my wit's end. I'm broken. She's like, you have my permission, you have my blessing to stop. Oh, that's what I needed.
Sorry. See, that sucks, because we have these dreams, right? Of like, and then you said like, you know, we're going to have these kids, and we started trying immediately. And then you automatically, like, you'll watch a movie and they'll have like a cute baby shower, and then there'll always be something great. And then you hear that second heartbeat and you're like, how much of my plan is going to change? What's real? What is it really going to be like? And then you are vomiting all over the walls, exercise. Yeah. So it's like this weird plight that twin parents have, that we just literally, we just buck up and
stiffen that upper lip, girl. Do it. We're in it.
And everybody's like, I'm very, very, very fortunate to have a wonderful inner circle of friends that are mostly twin moms.
Oh, amazing. I admire that.
It was necessary because, and I have like literally as we're talking, I have my chats are open there just to make sure that my team isn't going to yell at me about anything. And I have like group chats of just my twin families. And then I have like my other friends. Then you have like school friends, let's say. Yeah. So you have all these groups, but like my twin mom core, like
they're like your army.
Literally. And I don't have to explain. And if we do something, we don't have to talk to each other. Like, we'll be like, let's go out, and be like, could we just have quiet time? I'm touched out. right? Like if I say to them, I'm touched out, my social cup is
Overstimulated.
full, but I don't feel like being alone.
Yes, they
Can we
get
do
it.
something?
And what a magical bond. Those bonds you'll take with you forever. And not having to
Those are my
explain
twin
like
pearls.
the chaos and like there's always a baby screaming and then
Yeah.
they're beating each other's asses. And
Yeah.
then like you buy them a gift and it's like they don't want the gift, but they want the other gift. And then they smash each other in the head with the gift. They get it, you know?
You gotta listen. Let me tell you, twin boys are a whole new breed. We had a twin. Laura was part of our team for a really long time, and still drops in and out. She's still part of the team, but yet doesn't really do anything anymore. I don't know what the hell she's doing, but we love her, and I can't let her go. So she has twin boys, and I remember when they must have turned 4, and she's like, Nat, she's like, something crazy is happening, and I'm hoping that you could help me. And I said, what happened?
God.
She's like, they only want to pee outside. And I said, okay. I was like, what's happening when they pee outside? She's like, they call it the pee tree. I probably shouldn't be telling the story. I know I feel
bad. That's amazing. It's amazing.
So she's like, it's the pee tree. The boys go outside and they pee. And now the boys are much bigger and they're still equally as feral. And they're still wild, and she put them in wrestling. So she's like, if they're going to fight, they're going to learn how to fight. And even my twins that are boy-girl twins would constantly fight. I don't know why. I never gave them a reason to fight, but I think living in such small areas, it's like, go to your corners. And I put them into jujitsu when they turned 5.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you're going to fight, let's learn to fight. Learn. And it was gender neutral all season. Jiu-jitsu was my jam sport. I loved it.
Yeah. And how do they have freaking energy? I can't. I cannot. I mean,
I couldn't even walk there. I was exhausted. I was like, oh my God.
I can't.
Please.
They get a 20-minute nap and they're ready to like build a skyscraper. I'm sleeping. I'll take a 3-hour nap and wake up and be like, I could have slept for 3 days.
Truth. That's just the way they do it, man. God bless these kids. But that goes to say, like, we have the get up and go, and we got the buck up, and we're going to do it. That's got to be some genetic component that gets ingrained into them. And we created these little, I don't want to call them demons. I don't want to. But there are definitely days. There are days where it's just horrible. And I'd like it's sitting here too. Like my kids aren't messed up that I was like, I need a timeout from you guys. Like I would remember going into the bathroom, I'd leave the door open so then I could hear if there was a fire or screaming, but I would sit on the toilet in the dark and I would just be like, I just need to regroup. I never understood it.
Everything out there that is cliche about having them is true. Like sitting on a dark floor of a bathroom with the door closed is my happy place right now.
Yeah. Isn't that horrible? But it's true. It's like this is what we're, and there was like a meme that I read today, and it's like going to Target isn't me time. And taking a shower isn't me time. And I'm like, I'm gonna take what I could get. Like,
if that's all I get, that's me time.
Literally. I'm gonna just take what I could get because I'm appreciative of the moments when they were growing up. One of my most sacred things was every Sunday night, there was this radio station that played The Quiet Storm. And it was like old school R&B. And I would take one of their sippy cups and I would fill it to the brim with white wine. This is my pre-vodka days. I've now moved on.
We've graduated.
I've graduated.
Wine to whiskey.
Tito's and soda with 2 limes, please. Thank you. And I remember just sitting in the shower and letting the water hit me until it was so hot I could barely stand it. But I always knew that I just had to get to Sunday.
Yeah.
Like no matter what happened, I just got to get to my 20 minutes. And people would say, like, people with singletons are going to say, like, that's not enough. You need more. That's not enough time. You think I wanted that little amount of time? That's just all that we could spare.
Yeah.
That was it.
So that's what we get.
But I took it, man. And then everybody's like, oh my gosh, why does motherhood have to be about wine? And I'm not like pro drinking or like good for you. Like, I'm not saying that that's going to work for you, but if that's what I just needed, and I certainly wasn't drinking by any means to get drunk. I left there perfectly sober. It was just the ritual of
For
it
sure.
that I really, really
Pouring
needed.
yourself something at the end of the night that is strict. I mean, I laugh because it's like, at that point, what can you do? What are you going to go to the gym?
Yeah.
You're going to go
Where
to
are
the
you going
gym?
to go? The kids are sleeping in
After
their chair.
chasing twins
Where are you
around
gonna
all day?
Yeah.
That was my workout.
Girl, I
This is
can't
my
even tell
end
you.
of day snack.
Please, please, how much effing weight I've gained since I stopped walking them to school. I don't be like, I didn't realize. I didn't realize that was my primary
I'm there.
source of
I'm going to
exercise.
get there. I'm going to get there because everyone, the commentary on your weight after twins, and we touched on this earlier before we started the talk, but the commentary and the fact of people, I had twins 2.5 years ago. I still get, oh, wow, you look great. I'm like, guys, this happened 3 years ago. And I chased them around, panting and sweating. And then when I pick one up, the other little idiot wants to be picked up too.
Yes.
Love my kids, but you got to let it out somewhere.
Yes.
And then you're just holding 2 6-year-old freaking babies. 125 pounds. I'm withering away to nothing and I eat chips off the floor.
You got to do it. That's a meal. That's a meal. Goldfish and whatever was left, maybe a little bit of applesauce.
Chicken.
That's who cares. I'll do what I could do.
Yeah.
But it's
sustaining myself.
I'm so happy that we literally talked about nothing and everything at the same time, because we have such heavy topics coming up this season on the podcast. And, I'm not saying that those aren't important, and they are important, because there's going to be people that are going to find their needle in the haystack by listening to that story. And you're going to think, oh, this doesn't exist, but we found them, and we found the twin parent that, has the same experience that you're probably going through. So it's just nice to be like, dude, sometimes it's just a mess. And it's okay to be messy. This is reality. And it's okay for the kids to be messy. And it's okay if you don't wash the kids every single night, as long as they're somewhat sanitary and they don't have any rashes. Like there is no should, right? I always think about, like, I put that, I don't know if I have a new book coming out. I'm so excited.
Girl, plug
maybe
it.
by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be on there already. But we did a podcast with this woman, Fran, last season, and she has 3 sets of twins: boy, boy, girl, girl, and boy, girl.
Wow.
And
she's superhuman.
She's unbelievable. And she's now pursuing her dream again of singing. Like she's doing it. She really is. She's unbelievable.
So much hope. Gives me so much hope.
Something else. And she said,
because you almost have to put everything on pause. I feel like some of it. You
have to put a lot of
yourself on pause. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And so Fran said during the podcast, she says, we really need to stop shoulding on ourselves.
Yeah.
That's what it should be. And there is no should, because everybody walks a different path. Everybody has, physically, geographically, monetarily, there's none of us that are a carbon copy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And what works for you isn't going to work for me all the time. I mean, even I envy people so much with who that have parents that come over and help. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if I lived close to my parents, that wouldn't be something that would be available to me. You know what I'm saying? So, you go through a lot of, I don't know if maybe I'm the only one, but I felt a lot of guilt for the envy that I feel for moms that aren't twin moms at times, where you see, I run restaurants and I see these moms with their single kid and they're breastfeeding and everything's perfect and no one's crying and the baby's coloring very neatly at 3. And I'm just like, God damn, excuse me. If that were my kids, like, I'd be sweating, crying, like frustrated, ready to leave. You're scarfing down your food. It's not worth it. You feel a lot of envy at times, but then I feel like, it pays off. It does. Pays off in so many different ways.
Tenfold. And you're never going to see it. You won't see it in the moment. Like right now, you're in the eye of it. So right now you can't see it, right? I'm out of the forest. I'm out. Yeah. I'm saved. My kids now save me. My daughter literally says to me every single day, Mom, stop letting your dreams be dreams.
Oh,
freaking
oh my God.
I love that kid so much.
Cute.
And I think about little things that I did their whole life that I did without saying let's sit down. We're going to discuss this. It's going to be a life lesson. It was just me leading by example and being like, listen, it's okay to have limitations. And it's okay if you're like, I can't do this right now. You just have to say you can't. You can't say when they were in middle school and high school that I would be like, could you load the dishwasher or whatever it is? I am always fine if you say, I really can't do that now, but this is when I can do it. Yeah. And so just doing that automatically, I didn't realize that I taught them to do that. Wow. It's always okay. If you can't do something, it's fine. But you got to let somebody know, because that could be holding up the next thing, right? Because if the dishwasher isn't loaded, then it can't get unloaded. If it doesn't get unloaded, we don't have I don't have the pot I want to make for macaroni tomorrow. So like it's always, everybody has their own little job, but somebody has to be able to say, like, I can't do it. And just you saying, I need a break. I'm going to sit in the bathroom on the floor with lights, like that weirdly is a lesson that your kids are going to learn from, where you could say, oh, I feel guilty. I shouldn't need a break from my kids. I want to be with them all the time. Nobody should be with anybody 24 hours a day.
No.
That's it. And kids need they need to play on their own. They need to learn independence. They need you to not be over them every 15 minutes. Otherwise, they're never going to learn anything. You're not doing them a favor by doing literally everything in your house.
Yeah.
And so we see all these super moms, and I see them on Insta, and they're like, oh, I did my meal prep for the week, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's great. And I'm glad. But your kids are 13. And they should learn how to make their own lunch. And I'm sorry if I sound judgmental, but you're going to keep making those lunches if you don't show them how to do it.
100%. And listen, I baby my boys, and this is a huge conversation.
But they're babies now. You should be babying your boys.
100%. Once it gets to a certain point, like, to me, I think that independence and that, they say that, like, the codependency of twins, like, if you're not letting them play independently, but then, like, as a twin mom, you're just scared they're going to murder each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's brutal. As soon as it's silent, you're just like, someone's dead. It's the most wild thing that I've ever experienced in my life. Silence in this house means that there has been an injury.
Yes. or something broke. And they don't know what to do about it.
What do we do?
Yes.
Like, they're like, should we cut each other with it? Should we throw it in the toilet? Should we shove it in this hole in the wall? God bless them. They are incredible. They are so beautiful. They keep me on my freaking toes. I always joke, that I was always a hyperachiever, and that's why God gave me twins, and now I'm paying for it because I can't get anything done anymore. But, I think out of the storm, I think we're going to be stronger and more incredible versions of ourselves. I just right now, like, my eye is twitching, even having this podcast, like, just thinking about what we live through every single day.
That's how we roll. That's how we roll. And we could talk 46 hours, and I just really talking, holy crap. My team is going to kill me. They're like, keep it to 40 minutes. Okay, sure. Why not? I don't know who by now, hopefully our audience knows to just know I go off the rails.
Yeah, I love
92% of the podcasts that we have. But I
easy
really
to talk
enjoy. But like, I love you guys. And like the opportunity that I get, that you're letting me in your life and you're sharing your story with me, I feel so thankful. And I'm in such an interesting position because people fascinate me. And everybody has a story. And even when people are like, I don't know what we're going to talk about, I'm like, just trust me.
I'll pull it out of you. Yes.
Just trust me.
Yeah. That's amazing. What you do for people is also amazing too. And thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, your podcast has saved me on many bad days.
Aw, I'll take it. I need that sometimes. It's always, by the way, anybody out there who has anything nice to say, I'll always take it. You could always say nice things to us.
Thankless world anymore.
It is. And then sometimes you sit there and like I'm working and it's like 11:30 and my husband's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I got to finish this video. I got to finish this post. I got to do whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who is this going for? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I going crazy? And then you get one comment one day and you're like, okay, my cup's refilled. I could go again.
Yeah. And restaurant people understand that. I feel like even more than anybody, because you deal with so many things you wear so many different hats and then you go home every day and you get up the next day and you do it all over again.
Because you don't have a choice.
Yeah. And to have even just that one host or that one server or that one manager just say that like you impacted them in a positive way, it just makes everything worth it, And so I do thank you. I think you're incredible and so genuine and so easy to talk to.
You only say genuine because you're on the West Coast now. If you still lived here, that wouldn't be a word you use.
I'd be like, whatever, she's rough.
That's it. No. Everybody, whenever I go to the West Coast, everybody's like, oh my God, you're so real. I'm like, what else is there?
No,
what are
LA.
people like here? What is going on? Is everybody a fake and a phony? What is happening?
Yeah.
Like, how am I so real? But who has time for that crap? And I think
No.
that's a twin parent thing too. Just if you see somebody you want to be friends with that has a twin stroller, just go talk to them. Don't be like, oh my God, are they going to want to be friends? Yeah, they're definitely, I'm telling you, they're definitely.
They definitely want to be your friend. Yeah. I'm
100%.
desperate. I'm like, yes, that is so true. You have twins, we're instantly sisters.
Yeah.
Instantly sisters.
It's the way that it goes. And even my husband with twin dads, it's the same thing. I also found, and you tell me if you find this to be true too, throughout the course of your twin parenting life, watch how many twin family moms you'll run into on an airplane or like places that you're like, this doesn't make any sense. We're 3% of the population. How am I every fifth flight sitting next to somebody with twins? We went to a Longhorn Steakhouse over the weekend, and there were two guys sitting with their mom. And I don't know, we ended up talking to them, but whatever. This is just the way our family is. But she was saying that she had 7 kids, and one of the guys there was a twin. And he was like, I have a twin. He's like, I'm a twin. And my daughter was like, I'm a twin. And they were both baby A. And so my kids were connecting. And so I said to the mom, I said, I think that he was 54. So I said, 54 years ago, I said, did you know that you were having twins or did you have an inkling? And she said, honestly, I didn't. She said, they knocked me out. I woke up and they handed me 2 babies. Could you imagine? At least we get the benefit of knowing and being able that 2 are on the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't even manage that. And I joked with all my friends and I'm like, what if she really only had 1 baby? And then there just was like an extra baby that was like, Mom. Yes. And they were like, it's twins. You didn't know. Like, how do we look at like, this is my weird, like CSI.
Yeah, you're like, but are they your babies? I don't know.
Are they both your babies? Who really knows? If you were not,
you didn't have an ultrasound and you had 2 babies. Surprise!
But even like when my grandmother had my mom, I think they knocked her out and that was just, I mean, they thought that was the better thing to do back in the day. So like in the 50s, they just knocked you out and they were like, here, have some laughing gas. We'll see you later.
See ya. Yeah. What on earth? Oh it is wild. I cannot believe it. What a life. What a life.
Well, listen, you're going to be just fine. I know it.
I know it. Yeah, me too. I know it too. And it's exciting. It's exciting too, It's
exciting.
Onward and upward.
Get to follow up with you and find out what happened. Oh,
yeah.
Move this.
Yeah, I would love it.
I'm going to set my date for 6 months from today.
I love it.
We're going to see what happens. And we're going to have part 2 of Michelle's fancy fiasco of midlife crisis fun.
I can't wait.
Life crisis. You're too young. We can't have midlife crisis at this time.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we got plenty of time. That's it. I'm not buying a sports car anytime soon. I'm just going to pick up another weird hobby. So that's it. It'll be axe throwing or something next. That'll be it. That'll be that.
Knitting. I can't. You crack me up.
It's the best. Michelle, I can't thank you enough for this.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. This was the best way that I could have spent my birthday. I was so excited to spend time with you and to talk to you. And thank you. This was amazing.
I'm glad I didn't disappoint, to be very honest with you. No, I feel like I had a big expectation to fill, and I'm glad I did.
I feel like I did too. So I'm like, here we are, we're vibing. I'm glad. Thank you.
So guys, if you have a job for Michelle and you're wondering like, hey, does she need work still? Email us at community@twiniversity.com. We'll send you her resume. This is what's going on. But if you do genuinely have questions for the insane life that she has or I have or any of our guests here, just email us at community@twiniversity.com or slide into our DMs. We are at Twiniversity everywhere in the universe. We're not. Thank God the word didn't exist, so we were really able to get that. And interestingly, Lauren, one of my inner circle BFF twin moms, does work for Twiniversity. So she's always with us at our monthly meetings every second Tuesday of the month at 1:30. Michelle, you're invited to. Everybody is. Just go to our website. I think it's twiniversity.com/membership. And you could join us every single month. But it's kind of like Michelle and I's conversation right now. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't know if there was a point, but at the end of it, you feel better.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm so glad that it went the way that it did, So So thank you.
It really did. All right, guys, until next time, like and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. And I'll see you later, alligators. Thanks for listening.